Let's get to breaking news out of Washington. Reports that Mira Ricardel, the U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor, has been forced out of her job at the White House after butting heads with the First Lady. Melania Trump has issued an official statement saying that Ricardel no longer deserves the honor of serving in the White House. Ricardel got into a spat with Melania Trump's office related to her October visit to Africa. Joining us from Ohio to talk some more about that, Robert Alexander, political science professor at Ohio Northern University. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me, Morella.
Have you ever heard of this happening before, where the First Lady doesn't get along with somebody who's high up in the White House and decides that that person needs to go?
Well, the circumstances here, there's been multiple reports of the types of things that Melania Trump was not happy about. But the very public display by Melania's spokesperson to say that Ricardel doesn't deserve the honor of serving in the White House is somewhat unprecedented. Nancy Reagan was, I don't know if she was accused so much as it was later found out that she consulted an astrologer. And in that consultation, one of the things that led to was her working behind the scenes to oust her husband's chief of staff, Don Regan.
Do we know much more about what the dispute, the nature of the dispute was for the First Lady and this Deputy National Advisor, Security Advisor?
Well, much of it, at least the reports, stem from the First Lady's trip to Africa. That didn't quite go as well as perhaps she would have liked. It got mixed reviews. That Ricardel was seen to be pretty aggressive and gruff, perhaps, with staff members that Melania Trump liked. That there was even reports that Ricardel didn't give up a seat on the plane in Africa to a staff member that Melania Trump wanted her to. So the fact that she's gone very public with this, while John Bolton, who is one of Ricardel's main advocates, is away in Singapore, shouldn't be lost on us as well. Not to mention the fact that Donald Trump himself has been reeling since the midterm losses that the Republican Party had.
Yeah, let's talk about that press conference after the midterm loss of the House. Of course, now infamous interaction between the president and a CNN reporter, Jim Acosta, and then the president, of course, while the White House saying he's no longer welcome. They pulled his press pass. Now that's being fought in court. What do you make of this fight?
Well, one thing that it should be readily apparent is that Fox News actually has joined in support of CNN's litigation here. So that's actually a pretty big move there from the conservative news outlet, partnering up with CNN on it. So, and I believe even the Daily Caller has come out in support of it. So, of CNN's position. So, the First Amendment, freedom of speech, it's number one for a reason. Just because you don't like the kind of news that's being reported doesn't mean that outlet shouldn't have access. Most of the those that are following this from the legal profession say that CNN has a pretty good chance here to win this. And, frankly, the president doesn't ever have to call on Jim Acosta if he's in the White House briefing room. Donald Trump, I think, knows what he's doing by calling on Acosta. He knows there's going to be a confrontation. And Donald Trump has made a cottage industry out of ripping on CNN and news that he doesn't like and referring to it as fake news. So he certainly has a love-hate relationship with CNN and Jim Acosta.
Yeah, and he definitely does add fuel to that fire a lot of the time. He not only sometimes ignites it, but then keeps tossing the wood on the fire to keep it going. Robert Alexander, thanks for your time tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Morella.